I've never made $1 in my life without another human being. Think about it. Stop and think about it. Have you ever made $1 in your life without another human being involved in that transaction somehow, somewhere? Never has happened, never will happen. So,
Pace Morby, he is an author, investor, founder of Sub2, the Sub2 community, and he's the co-host of A&E's top-performing show, Triple Digit Flip. He focuses primarily on the subject to and seller financing to acquire properties without the use of banks. You definitely want to hone in.
Take a line that Jeremy gives you. Take some framework and go, I'm going to go purposely make a mistake on this.
The person who wins a sale is the one who makes the least amount of mistakes in that conversation.
I would say, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, I would say most people are just so damn impatient. The equation is that 99% of people on the planet are not living any sort of significant life.
Yeah.
Why? It's because the 1% just does stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I don't even have to be that good. Alex Ramosi says the other day, it is so easy to win nowadays because everybody's just a bunch of sissies.
Yeah. You know, so that's the people I want to hang out with. I want to hang out with people that are making more money than I am, so I can learn what they're doing.
Money is a representation of the value you provide to the marketplace. I want to hang out with people that provide value to the marketplace.
Jeremy Miner, welcome to another episode of Closers Are Losers. Now today we've got a special guest. So if you're a sales professional, which I know you are, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, consultant, maybe you're a CEO of a company, and you want to learn how to really grow and scale your business, or maybe if you're in sales, you want to grow and scale your territory or your sales ability, this is a show you want to pay attention to. Now, I'm with Pace Morby. He is an author, investor, founder of Sub2, the Sub2 community, and he's the co-host of A&E's top-performing show, Triple Digit Flip, which I've loved that show. Pace has acquired over $450 million in assets without cash credit or previous credentials of his own through creative financing. He went from a general contractor to owner of 20 plus active companies. He's also transcended the world of entrepreneurship and now teaches and inspires entrepreneurs and salespeople like you all over the world to make an impact on not only your life, but other people's lives who you associate with. He focuses primarily on the subject to and seller financing to acquire properties without the use of banks. You definitely want to hone in, especially if you're a sales professional, you're starting to make more money, you're learning how to sell. What are you going to do with that money? You want to pay attention to this. The myth, the man, the legend, Pace, how are you?
Bro, why do you guys call it Closers Are Losers?
It was a big marketing thing. So when I first started the show about 3.5-4 years ago, I'm like, what can I come up with as far as a hook to piss salespeople off when they go look for a podcast? How do I close? Close. Well, I'm a closer. I'm not a loser. And then they get on the show and we teach them, I would say, the right way to sell, where we teach them how to get the prospects to qualify to them rather than qualify to the prospect, and we get them to teach them how to.
You're one of the few guys that are teaching it the right way. I can say that. And when I was coming up in sales and trying to acquire properties and talking to sellers directly, going into their living room, my thought process is, how do I close this person?
Yeah.
And then I got better because of the way that you teach.
Yeah.
I did not try and close anybody. I've never tried to close anybody when I got successful.
Well, the thing is, when you're talking with distressed property owners, because your industry is a big space that we train in, real estate, agents, commercial, residential, then investors calling distressed properties, is who has the problem? The prospect or you? Yeah, the prospect has a problem,
right?
Not the salesperson. I think so many salespeople, it's like you don't really think about it. You're like, well, they got problems, but it's like you're qualifying to them when you got to learn techniques to get the prospect to qualify to you, because you're the one that can solve their problems, not the other way around.
Right.
And I think you probably just, before you even knew me, you've just kind of figured that out on your own. Hey, it's easier to sell if I get them to kind of like come my way, rather than me try to persuade them that they need to let me do the deal. You probably got them to kind of persuade themselves that, hey, Pace can actually help me get out of this thing.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the logo that I wear everywhere,
the
logo, a lot of people think Sub2. That's what they think it is. But the logo actually comes from bunny ears.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
The first deal I ever did in real estate, I didn't know what I was doing. And I walk into this lady's house. I sent out postcards because my coach at the time told me, send out postcards.
Yeah.
You're going to get people calling you saying, hey, I got your postcard. Come by my house.
Yeah.
So I go to this lead. I talk to this lady, walk into her living room, and I see that there's like 20 business cards from real estate agents and other investors on her counter.
Yeah.
And here's me. I've never bought a deal before. I don't even know how to look at the price of a home. I don't know how to comp a house.
Yeah.
And so I look at her countertop and I'm like, why haven't you sold your house yet?
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know that was a great question at the time.
Sure.
But it's one of the most important questions. Like, what's kept you from selling your house? I ask that question all the time. And then they tell you.
Yeah.
And she starts saying, well, I need 165. I've got an offer at 165, but I'm going to see if I can squeeze up to the number.
Yeah.
Right. And every sales professional deals with this. It's like, well, I'm looking for the lowest price. I'm looking for the this.
Sure.
I'm looking for the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I go, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Was literally what I told her. I go, I can't help you. She's like, what do you mean you can't help me?
Yeah.
So on the drive there, I called one of my friends that's been in real estate for a long time. And I said, what should I pay for this house? I don't even know how to value this house. And he goes, don't pay $1 over 150.
Yeah.
I go, okay. So I get into the house. I ask her that question. She says, I already got an offer at 165. In my mind, I'm screwed.
Like, I can't help you.
I can't help you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a sales strategy, but I said, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And she says, you're so full of crap.
Yeah.
You're anchoring me.
Really?
I go, I don't even know what, I had no idea what anchoring
do you mean
meant.
by anchoring? Yeah.
She was, for some reason, her husband who'd passed away, he was in sales.
Okay.
She was a school teacher. And so she knew anchoring. I had no idea what language she was speaking to me. So she goes, you're anchoring me. You're telling me da-da-da. I go, I wouldn't even know the first thing you're talking about. I go, I legitimately can't help you. You want more than what I know I can offer.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, what do we do? And I go, I guess I leave.
Yeah.
So on my way out of the house, I stop in her doorway.
Yeah.
I go, is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah.
She goes, what are you, a Boy Scout? I go, yeah, actually, I am a Boy Scout. I got my Eagle Scout. I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
I run a construction company as well. I can help you load your truck, your moving van. I can help, my guys can help you. Whatever you need.
Yeah.
You're a school teacher. I'd love to help you out.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't want to give me an offer, but you want to help me out? And I go, yeah, of course. She goes, okay, I got a really weird problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So she takes me in her backyard.
Yeah.
I'm 30 seconds away from leaving the house. Now she's taking me into the backyard.
Sure.
She opens up the glass door and she shows me 3 Flemish bunnies. A Flemish bunny is the size of a 5-year-old child.
Bunny. Okay.
They're
I've never
massive.
seen a Flemish bunny.
Massive. Google it, guys. Flemish bunny.
Flemish bunny.
You'll see humans holding bunnies that are this big. She has
Good
3
Lord.
Flemish bunnies. I'm like, what the hell are these things? And she goes, well, my granddaughter brought them home one day. We thought they were regular bunnies. And they've been eating $600 worth of food. They're growing. They've been big for a long time, but I can't retire as a school teacher if I got to pay $600 a month to pay for these things, right?
That's awesome.
Hey guys, Jeremy Miner here. Look, a lot of you leave comments wanting me to help you sell more. So the easiest way to get a hold of me, the quickest way, is to text me. So text me right now. It's 480-637-2944. So 480-637-2944. Listen, I started this company to help you learn how to close more deals, but do it the right way.
So I go, great, what do you need? She goes, I need somebody to rehome them. I go, done, easy.
Yeah.
So I call my mom. My mom comes, shows up in a truck, takes the bunnies, takes them to somebody in her church. And this lady, Janie, is like, you're really not going to give me an offer?
Yeah.
I go, nope, I can't help you.
Yeah.
So I go home, I go, good luck. Let me know if you need any other help. If you're ready to load up your truck, whoever you sell the house to, call me. I'm here to help. She's like, wow, you really do want to help. I go, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I go home 2 weeks later, get a call from her, and she says, Pace, as a school teacher, I gave myself homework. And the homework I put on my calendar is to make a decision of who I'm selling the house to today.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call and let you know I'm selling my house to you.
You're like, what?
What? Excuse me? You don't even know my offer. And she says, whatever your offer is, I'm going to take your offer.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, what do we do now? I'm so brand new to this. I go, what do I do now? She goes, well, you should probably come up to my house. Let's sign some paperwork.
Oh my God.
That's how oblivious I was. And so the person that gave me the number, the 150, they met me at the house. They walked in. They helped me out with the paperwork. I buy the house for 150. I resell it for 175. I make 25 grand with like 3 hours worth of work.
Sure.
And I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
And the person who was walking me through and mentoring me, they said, it's because you found her bunnies. You found her problem.
Yeah.
Not the bullshit problem that people tell you on the face. I want to sell my house because I want to retire. That's the bullshit clinical problem. Yeah. What's the emotional thing that's going on? Why would they choose you over anybody else?
Yeah.
And she goes, what you did is you built like supreme trust with this lady.
You built trust because you said you're not quite sure you could even help her.
Right.
And everybody else were like, we can help you. So they were like overdoing it. And so in her brain, her defensive mechanism came up like, oh, salesperson trying to sell me.
Right.
And so she wasn't open to anything they're offering. Whereas what you did, you didn't know what you're doing, but you were disarming her and her guard was down, and you built massive trust by saying,
yeah. And she told me also the other people. So when I was in her house signing the contract for the 150, she told me, I said, why wouldn't you just go with the guy that offered you 165? She goes, I don't know if I can trust him. She was willing to go with
Yeah.
the guy at 150 that she trusts over the person that was going to give her 15 grand more.
That's what I would say. People buy from people they trust can get them the best result. Not necessarily the person they just like, but they trust. Trust and liking somebody sometimes can be two different things, right?
She said that to me. She said that I've met a lot of people in my life, parents that come in for parent-teacher conferences. She's like, I've met so many people in my life that lie and they say they're going to do something, or a kid that's going to do their homework and they don't follow through. She's like, you're the guy that followed through before you had anything to benefit you. You rehomed my bunnies.
Yeah.
And she says that last thing on the story, she says, I met with 15 people before you, 15 people after you.
Yeah.
All they did was attack each other.
Yeah.
You didn't even bring up, you told me to go do business.
Loses trust.
Because
then they're like, well, of course you're biased. You're trying to sell me something, you're going to attack somebody. Psychologically lose trust. Because I would have asked that question. I would have came in like, so you've met with these agents and these investors. I mean, they're fairly decent. I know some of them. And what caused you to feel like you don't want to take their offer?
Right.
And then she would like, well, I don't like this person. I don't like, she's like.
Instead of what other people do that are not, taught and have learned from you is they go, oh, I know that person. They're not going to follow through. They're not going to follow through. It's like, oh, this is too obvious.
It's too biased. Yeah, 100%. Dude, that is, I didn't know that about the bunny.
And then it wasn't until years later that I started getting into like taking over payments and doing creative finance that I was like, oh my gosh, it kind of has a double meaning. And so my logo is always, it reminds me to find the bunnies. Right?
Find the bunnies, the Flemish bunnies.
Find the bunnies. Like what is your prospect? What is your customer? What is your person? What do they actually need?
Yeah.
I've got this deal that I just worked actually last week. Somebody comes to me and they go, hey, I found this RV park. And the seller's going to sell it to us on seller finance. The thing makes $25,000 a month.
Yeah.
And we need a little bit of money to give the seller a down payment.
Yeah.
I go, great. Like you could find a lot of people with a down payment. Why do you want me?
We'll cause you to come to me. Yeah.
And he goes, well, I really, you'll talk about it on your YouTube channel and you'll talk about it on the podcast. And I really want people to know me as somebody who does RV parks. I go, cool. So what you really want is you want to leverage my brand, which I'm cool with. And so I go, I think you should go with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask for 90% of the deal.
Yeah.
And I knew what his problem was, so I could push away from it. I go, look, you should go with somebody else because my offer is going to be so freaking obnoxious that the only value you're going to get from this deal is brand equity. You're going to be able to get on my podcast, maybe be in a future book, this, that, and the other. And we'll do a YouTube video. I'll fly out to the thing. And great, that's awesome. But you could do all that on your own.
Yeah.
What do you need me for? I'm going to take 90%.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot, Pace. Would you do it for 70%? I go, bro. I won't do it for anything less. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I go, don't come back to me until you talk to 5 other people.
Yeah.
And then he calls me back on Monday and he goes, all right, I'm going to go with
frame. You framed him where basically you framed him up front with what you were going to tell him so he wasn't shocked when you actually told him. You framed him and there where he almost defended you like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. He like came back to you because you already told him the objection he was going to give up front.
Can you tell I've been watching the podcast, bro?
Frame.
Come on, let's
go.
go.
That's a good
Jeremy Minor, boom.
There you go. So I saw you on a reel the other day talking about your superpower. And it's the thing that you do the most that just other people are not willing to do. What's your superpower?
Oh, I got a lot of them.
Sanchez. I think she's going to be on the podcast in a couple weeks. She said, I got this one superpower, and I think everybody needs to know what your superpower is.
I think this is this might be the post that you're talking about. I have a lot of superpowers. One of them I think I'm really, really known for. We could talk about that later. But I think if it's a Cody Sanchez thing, Cody and I are talking, and she goes, you know what's different about you and me, Pace?
Yeah.
Is that you and I can take this same exact piece of advice, and I'll sit over here thinking about it, planning, putting it on my calendar. I come back a year later and I'm about ready to get started and you've already failed 4 times and figured out a 5th better way to do it than what the person gave us the advice for.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a great compliment. Like you'll fail with velocity is what she said to me. She says, you will fail forward in a way that failure is almost on purpose. And, how does that relate to salespeople? As it relates to salespeople, like get your ass on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make mistakes.
Work in. Yeah. You're not going to be perfect.
Take a line that Jeremy gives you. Take some framework and go, I'm going to go purposely make a mistake on this. And I'm going to say, I now know what that mistake feels like. I know how the stove is hot.
Yeah. And
so I'm addicted to the mistakes in a way that's like, okay, cool. I I do a challenge every once in a while where I go, all right, starting from scratch, Monday to Friday, how much money can I make in a week just by picking up the phone 2 hours a day?
Yeah.
And the last time I did this was 30 days ago, and I made 120 grand in just
picking up the phone.
5 days. And I had 15,000 people watching me. I had a live audience.
Yeah.
And I go, all right, guys, we're not going for yeses. We're going for nos. I don't deserve a yes until I get 20 nos.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just reframing it to like, all right, every time I get another no, I build velocity, and then I finally get the yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't get 20 no's to a yes. I got 30 calls in, each call's like 30 minutes.
Sure.
So I got 30 calls in 5 days. And out of those 30 calls, I got 7 contracts. So I got 23 no's.
I love that how you did that with the live audience. That's freaking brilliant.
Yeah, I'm doing it again this Monday. I do it once a month.
Stick that on YouTube?
I don't put that on YouTube.
Oh, okay, I got you.
The reason why
trainings,
you can't do it on YouTube in my business is because I'm talking about a house and an address. So I did this 5 years ago when I first started my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I would put this stuff on YouTube live. And then some asshole is watching me, calls the seller while I'm on the phone with the seller, or texts the seller and goes, this guy's got you on YouTube live right now.
Shit, dude. Yeah.
And I'm like, you freaking... So the seller, one time the seller... goes, am I on YouTube right now? I'm like, and so I had to, like, all my live calls that I go, all right, guys, we're calling on this address. This is what I'm going to attempt to do.
Sure.
You want to give context to the call, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to do that with an address and a city, and it gives people a little bit more like gravity to the situation.
Yeah.
And so, I do those live.
And the compliance,
the compliance,
what compliance was not compliance.
Yeah, and there's times like I can't call somebody in Florida.
Yeah.
In Arizona, we're very lucky. Like, I can have a one-way conversation. It's legal for me to record and post anywhere I want.
Okay, I see.
Florida, it's not.
You can't.
Yeah, I have to ask them, hey, can I record this?
That makes sense.
But if you don't know that the seller's in Florida, then I can post anything I want. You don't know who it is, right? So I'll take those snippets and put them on YouTube, but I extract the dates. I extract the address and stuff like that, so nobody knows where it came from.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because, salespeople watching this and business owners or salespeople, it's like when they come into our different training programs, we see some clients who try to master everything and like switch their whole sales process over in a week. And I'm like, dude, you guys are not going to master this in a week. Like mastering sales, as you know, is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And so, you try to switch something over from the way you're selling now. Maybe the way you're selling now is not that great, but at least you have certainty in it because you understand it, you know it. You switch over to something different, okay? It might be 10 times more effective, but you're going to have uncertainty in the beginning because you haven't mastered it. You don't know it well enough. So we always tell our clients, you're going to keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to add little, this question this week, this tonality hack the next week. And the first month or two, you're just going to hit singles.
The problem is I would say, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, I would say most people are just so damn impatient.
They just want to switch everything over in like a week, right, or whatever. And you're like, whoa, and they're like, and then their sales will go down a little bit, and we're just like, whoa, no, we just want your sales to go up like 10, 15% the first month. Keep doing what you're doing, right? Even if it's not that great, add in a few things here and there each week because it's easier to master that way. And 3 months in, 4 months in, after you really understand it, then you can switch everything over. Then boom, like a rocket ship.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that I asked somebody on my Instagram stories a couple days ago. I said, what's the number one thing keeping you from like achieving your dreams? I want to know. I'm doing market research. I want to know what's my next couple of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
What stories do I need to tell better? And it's common that people are like, I just want it now. I want the immediate satisfaction that I watch a video and I know how to do it.
Wow.
I'm like, that's how it worked when you learned how to eat your first food by yourself, when you rode your first bike, when you learned how to walk. Like, you just magically, you watched a video and you just did it. And people in my DMs were replying going, oh man, I never thought about that. I'm like, has there ever been anything worthwhile that you've ever done that didn't take a significant amount of time?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
But as we get older, especially a lot of alphas that most of the people are probably listening to are alpha. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, I want it freaking now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when did you get a six-pack ab? When did you get, the right girl just by your first time trying it? You don't.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is turn it into a video game. Think of it as a game of, I don't deserve the yes until I've achieved this many no's, rather than you trying to avoid no. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm searching for the no.
Analysis paralysis, or whatever they say.
Bro. Yeah. And
don't move until you know everything.
I always tell everybody, people that have analysis paralysis, they never stopped to analyze the fact that analysis paralysis equals failure.
Yeah.
Just analyze this just a little bit further. Analysis paralysis equals failure, which is analysis paralysis, them trying to avoid failure. And it's ironic that it really
it's like the seminar junkie that goes to seminars every weekend,
Yes.
but then they never do anything with what they learn.
It's horrible. And then they go home. But I'm sitting there with Tony Robbins a couple days ago, and he went through the 6 things that every human being needs, and certainty is like number 1.
Yeah.
It's like, I need certainty. I need to know that this thing's going to work. It's like, okay, well, why don't you just hang out with people that have learned from Jeremy and go, hey, yeah, we had a little dip, but we kept going, and it went all the way up to here. Now we're 4 times what we were.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with the wrong damn people. That's the other problem too, is they're just hanging out in this like isolated bubble, hanging out with other non-doers.
Yeah, sure.
And so they expect that somebody like you, who's phenomenal at sales, just learned it in a week.
Yeah, no, still learning it here 24 years after 18-year sales career, and then we've been in business 5.5 years, still mastering tonality, communication. So so the superpowers, you're just willing to do what others are just not willing to do. You're just willing to learn something and just like go implement it right now.
Dude, but look at the equation.
Yeah.
The equation is that 99% of people on the planet are not living any sort of significant life.
Yeah.
Why? It's because the 1% just does stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I don't even have to be that good. Alex Hormozy says the other day, I'm sure you follow him, he says, it is so easy to win nowadays because everybody's just a bunch of sissies.
Yeah.
Nobody does anything. He's like, you want to win?
Yeah.
Just do anything.
Just do something. And I think it's so true. It's, I follow him as well, and I bought some. I think I even bought some of his gym concept. I have nothing to do with gyms because I just like buying stuff to see what people are doing. But he talks about, successful people in life, the most successful, they don't necessarily learn from their mistakes. They learn from other people's mistakes so they don't make the same mistakes themselves.
Yeah.
And as a sales professional in my career, I was like, I would go out and hire anybody I could that I felt had any freaking knowledge or nuggets, because I didn't want to make all these mistakes. I wanted to eliminate. And I talk about selling is a game of the person who wins a sale is the one who makes the least amount of mistakes in that conversation. It's like Tom Brady, right? You become the all-time greatest quarterback because you probably threw one of the least amount of interceptions. You fumbled less than the other quarterback did. It's like the football team that has the most fumbles or throws the most picks, unlikely to win that game. The one that has the least amount of mistakes, likely to win. I look
Same
at
thing with Tiger Woods.
Way,
Tiger Woods is like, I eliminate mistakes. That's why I win.
Yeah, and you have to eliminate. You don't eliminate mistakes because if you're trying to figure it out on your own, if you don't have a coach, like if you want to learn real estate, you want to hire Pace's company because they've already been there, done that. They already know the mistakes. If you try to figure it out yourself by watching some YouTube videos or something, you're just not going to have the nuances to know what to do. You're going to have
I can tell. I'm sure you can too when you look in your DMs when people ask a question. Yeah. I'm like, you are a YouTube junkie based on the question you're asking versus, you actually have traction in your business based on the question you're asking. Mm-hmm. And whether you're actually getting traction or not is contingent upon the action that you take. It's so silly. But even this morning, I did a one-on-one with this guy. Mm-hmm. It was an hour long. And he's been asking me for like 6 months, can you please just do a one-on-one with me? And I go, I will if I can turn it into a YouTube video. Yeah. Like if I can help more than just one person, I'm happy to do it. Yeah. And he goes, I know what I literally, one of the notes I took as he's telling me his story is he already knows all his problems. Yeah. I wrote it down like Ellison already knows his problems. Mm-hmm. And he's listening, like, I'm comfortable. I know I need to pick up the phone, but then I go over and do this thing. And I take care of my kids instead. It's like, okay, well, taking care of your kids is not a bad thing. Yeah. But if you're doing it 8 hours a day, bro.
Just make excuses.
You're making, and that's what he says. He goes, I know I'm making excuses. I'm like, then what is keeping you from taking action? Yeah. And we came down to 2 things. 1, patience. Mm-hmm. Right? That's number 1. Patience and like actually working through and eliminating mistakes by going through them. Mm-hmm. And then 2, I'm like, you're hanging out with a bunch of pansies. Yeah.
They hold you back.
Dude, you don't even know what the world should look like when you're hanging out with people. Like you hang out with people that go to Taco Bell every single day. You don't know what Nobu's gonna ever look like. You know what I'm saying?
I'm hanging out with one of my best friends is Tommy Mello. If you know
I love Tommy. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm building this like 28,000 square foot house in Idaho for my son home. It's no big deal. So that's the people I want to hang out with. I want to hang out with people that are making more money than I am, so I can learn what they're doing.
And their normal is like the next plateau for you. Yeah. You're like, it makes me uncomfortable just hanging out with you, hearing that you just bought you're building a 28,000 square foot house in Idaho for your kid.
Yeah, I'm like, that's badass. That's awesome, man. Send me the pictures.
Yeah, other people are like, what do you need all that money for? It's like, dude, money is a representation of the value you provide to the marketplace. Yeah. I want to hang out with people that provide value to the marketplace. Yeah. And so somebody like Tommy, who's a marketing genius and systems genius, It's like just being around that guy, you're going to learn through osmosis.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Okay, so one thing I think you're the best at, I think there's no other business in, I don't say the coaching space, but I'm going to say the coaching space that knows how to build a community like Pace and its company. So for a business owner, even a sales manager, salesperson, anything, why is building a community so necessary to scale?
Because I think if information was going to make everybody billionaires, ChatGPT would have already done it by now.
Valid, yeah.
It's like, okay, it's not information. It's not even the access to information. It's access to the right people that are willing to help you. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I do know about you. You don't want to hang out in a room full of people that are just YouTube junkies.
No, boring.
Like I want to be around people that have vetted themselves. It's kind of, I call it the Costco effect.
Yeah.
Am I going to have a higher level experience going to Costco where people paid $99 a year to be there, or Walmart?
Yeah.
Costco.
Yeah.
So I want to go into a room. It doesn't mean I only value
some skin in the game.
They got some skin in the game.
Yeah.
You know they're at least committed. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then what I do with those people is I go, all right, let's actually do deals together, because now I know that when I give you the information, you're going to do something with it versus the person that's on YouTube or listening only to podcasts.
Yeah.
They're just going to continue to, I call it mental masturbation.
Yeah, so I met Myron Goldman at ClickFunnels
Love Myron.
thing. You know Myron, he talks about the freebies. He's the different type of people, the freebies, or what do they call? I can't remember the freebie seekers.
People get so pissed off when I use that word that he uses. I say the freebies or the free people. I call them the free people.
The free pole or something. He calls them the free pole or something.
Myron's actually in my community.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm in his, and I love Myron so much, and he's like, I don't want to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
And when they just admit to themselves the same thing, they don't want to hang out with each other either. They wish they were in a room full of committed people. Mm-hmm. So for me, I said, I've never made $1 in my life without another human being. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Stop and think about it. Have you ever made $1 in your life without another human being involved in that transaction somehow, some way?
Yeah.
Never has happened, never will happen. So the amplification of humans is part of that recipe. The amplification of committed humans that will actually do something is part of that recipe. So I built a community. And what does that mean? It means we do things outside of just real estate. Like last week, a couple weeks ago for Halloween, I went trick-or-treating with 700 people in my community in downtown Boston.
Yeah.
Because you want to live life together, right? You want to do things together. Then I do a big 700-person meetup in Central Park. Then I go down to West Palm, and I'm doing a meetup right in Tony Robbins.
And these are meetups with people that might be in your community. They might be clients. They might not be clients. You're just meeting with them.
I'm just meeting with people because I want to filter. It's where I find deals. Mm-hmm. And when all I'm doing is spending time with people in like a free Facebook group or in a YouTube channel, I see that I make no money.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I hang out with people that are committed and show up physically, those people are like, dude, I took the time, I got over the anxiety to get in my car and drive 10 miles down the road, and those people are committed, and I can make money with them. Yeah. Like last year, I bought $100 million in real estate from people inside my community.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're committed people.
Because they're committed people.
They're picking up the damn phone.
Their clients are doing stuff. What are 3 key things you guys do to build your community over there?
Physical proximity is super important. Getting away from, we have 39 Zooms a week, but that's just to like check the box of like, there's not a time of the day we don't have some sort of support.
I've been on a few of your Zooms. They're a little bit long. I love that.
Oh yeah, my Zooms are 5-6 hours.
I was on one that was like 6 hours. I'm like, whew, yeah, I love this.
Yeah. I do it 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, I love it.
But it also, so that's one, and that goes into number 2, which is you have to have a culture of people helping each other. That's such an important thing, is that people are collaborating and doing deals with each other. If everybody relies on you, and let's say you want to take 2 weeks off, then what happens is the culture degrades. Yeah. And so what I did is I built a culture where there's leadership in every state. That leadership gets switched out every 6 months so that it always stays fresh.
So you got clients in those states and kind of the leaders of the community.
People that have done hundreds of deals.
So when you're like, hey, I'm flying to Boston in 2 weeks, they're like organizing it for you.
Everything is organized by them.
I love that.
So I go, hey, I have a website called whereispace.com.
And whereispace.com for your next
It's literally just where my next meetups are. So I put where I'm going. Let's say I have a speaking gig or whatever.
Sure.
And I'll say yes to the speaking gig, and then people in my community see that I'm speaking.
Yeah.
And then they'll call my team and go, all right, we're going to put a meetup together. We're going to do it here. And I don't have to do any of it anymore.
I love that.
So physical, culture, and then really one of the biggest things is if I'm not doing deals with them, then the whole thing should fall apart.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And I have kind of a hack with real estate, obviously, is
Obviously,
that I want to continue to do more deals. And I want to buy more business. We buy businesses as well. We just don't talk about it as much as we talk about real estate.
Yeah.
If I'm not talking about the real estate and I'm not making an example of people and posturing them up and giving some of my shine to other people, then the culture turns into everything is about me.
Everything's about you. Yeah.
And you can't have that.
Building them up. I totally agree. You know, and I'm an investor with Pace as well. I think we met Vina, you know, my ex-wife and I invest with you and Vina and stuff. We've got some money and some other things. So he's legit. I only invest with legit people. Pace is definitely legit.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Of course, this is a podcast. All right. So what type of mindset does it, a lot of people want to know about mindset. Like what type of mindset does it take to start a business and actually have success with it? Because you've really, even in the last year, because I heard you talking with Russell Brunson, you've really scaled even bigger even in the last 12 months.
Mindset, and I could talk about this for 5 hours, but I would say at the end of the day, I have this weird trick. It's kind of a messed up thing.
If I was normal, nobody would be watching the show for sure.
Okay, good.
So.
Okay, this is a weird one.
Yeah.
So I have this thought that if I died today, another man is going to come in and take my place.
Okay, yeah.
And he should. Yeah. My wife shouldn't live her whole life lonely, etc. So I have this thought of, if a man took my spot right now, I died yesterday, car wreck, whatever the thing is, and a man comes along and says, I'm going to be a better man in all of these categories than Pace ever was to his kids, to his wife, etc.
Yeah.
What are those things that would piss me off?
Yeah.
That if he was better at this, better at this, better at this, better at this, that I should just freaking do.
That. Yeah.
And so I once a year, I'll sit down with my Molly is her name. Yeah. Molly is my head of operations. I'll sit down with her and we'll go through those things that I'm not doing at the level that another man could.
Oh geez, yeah.
It's a scary practice.
It's like the star quarterback on the NFL team's always looking over his shoulder for the next guy coming up.
100%.
Keeps you driven.
And it puts me in a position of fear. Yeah. Guys, I don't operate out of motivation. I operate out of fear. I'm afraid of wasting my life. I'm afraid of being like my mom and my dad. Yeah. I love my mom and dad. They had 12 kids. They're amazing. But I'm afraid of being like them, meaning when they're mad at each other, they go to bed angry. Yeah. They won't talk for weeks. My parents aren't financially free. My dad would read every book under the sun, do nothing with them. Yeah. This is a funny thing. I'm sitting there with Tony Robbins the other day and we're sitting there chatting about one of my businesses. And he's like, man, what's your dad do? And I have this flashback to when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. My dad was listening to Tony Robbins tapes.
Oh, shit.
And now I'm hanging out with Tony Robbins and I'm doing business stuff with Tony Robbins. Yeah. And my dad is like, hey, one day I'd like to meet Tony Robbins. I'm like, if you would have taken action on his books, you probably would have met Tony Robbins at some point. Yeah. If you had done something significant with your life and actually faced the fear. And so I think the mindset is, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Yeah. And that scares the hell out of me.
No. I think fear of loss is like one of the things that drives most successful people. Yeah, I don't losing everything.
I don't think it's about money for you, is it?
For me, it was always fear of loss as a kid because we're all warped by our childhoods, right? So, as a psychologist from the ages of 4 to 13, your whole worldview is based on how you're raised, the people you're around. It's kind of scary. All this framing.
Yeah, you take 20 years to dismantle it.
Yeah, it's like the way we see the worldview is called a frame, right? So it's like, how do you take yourself out of that frame, called a D-frame, how do you reframe into a new way of thinking or a new frame? But, actually some of it's good, is when so as a kid, my stepdad lost his job when I was like 10, 11, went from like a middle-class family, nothing special, to like poverty. Mom had to go back to work as a waitress because she had 5 of us kids and she had to like go to school to get a teaching degree and all this stuff. So like went from middle class to like nothing, that poverty level. And, I was like, made fun. It's like you're around kids then, you go from the Nike cleats to the Voigt cleats, the Walmart. And then you start to, it like triggers your brain.
This is exactly
like, I'm not
going
to be poor like this. I'm never going to feel like this. So like,
and then also watching your poor mom.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm taking care of the woman in my life.
Exactly.
I'm not going to, like, I know you bought like your mother-in-law house and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to take care of my family. Dude, this is exactly my story. My dad, it was like this all the time. My dad was, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. My dad would always make empty promises. Yeah. And he'd get in over his skis and he would self-sabotage. And so I'd watch my dad self-sabotage. So I had this fear of ever dismantling my business because it gets too big. And that's why I give ownership to other people that are better than me to run the company. Yeah. but my dad would lose everything.
Yeah.
And I remember one time my parents couldn't afford to buy me a backpack. Every kid was doing
was it JanSport backpack?
JanSport or a Nike backpack.
Yeah.
It was one of those two,
Yeah.
and my parents bought me this knockoff thing. So what I did is I went in my closet and I took my old Nike shoes and I cut the Nike logo out the side and I glued it on my backpack because I was so afraid of not having the cool thing.
Right, yeah.
And so same thing, middle class down to poor. And there were times where I'm like, I can't rely on my parents.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for it. Actually, I thank my mom and dad frequently. Like, thank you for the grit that you put into me, the work ethic that you put into me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that were coddled all the way through, which also gives you this whole thought process of like, I'm not going to coddle my kids.
Yeah.
All my rich friends are like private schools, this, that, and the other, jets. Their kids don't even know what it means to fly commercial. I'm like, you're setting these kids up for failure.
Oh yeah, when I go on trips, like me and Kayla went to Europe this summer and stuff, and so all my kids are like, well, why can't we sit in first class? So first of all, I'm not going to pay like $7,000 a ticket for you guys because you haven't earned it. It's like, you got to sit back there until you earn it. It's like, anytime they call for money, I'm like, sounds like you got a skill problem, not a budget problem.
Oh my God.
My kids are like, Dad, I need the X, Y, those. I'm like, sounds like you have a skill problem. It's not like you don't have enough money. You just need more skills, and they hate it,
But my dad did this to me too.
Back in coach.
You want to go on a date with this girl? Paint the fascia.
Yeah.
And my dad gave me $20. I'm like, okay, do work, get money. All right. Yeah. So then at age 14, I just go, all right, I'm just going to work. I'm going to make money. And I missed out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I missed out on my friends in high school. They were on the baseball team and doing this other stuff. I was bagging groceries.
Yeah.
I would get out work release at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'd go to my senior year for 3 hours, and then I'd bag groceries the rest of the day to get school credit and make my own money because I couldn't rely on my mom and my dad. Thank God I couldn't rely on them.
It's gotten you financially where you're at. Those friends, they might still be friends, but you're probably in a different
They're installing carpet,
space.
bro. They're installing carpet, and they're installing stupid things, and they're asking me, now they're in my DMs, hey, can I take you to coffee? No.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a skill problem.
Pick your brain. I'm like, no, you cannot pick my brain. What are you going to get? What's the value you're bringing to me if you're going to sit here and talk about everything that you want to know?
That is also part of it too, is part of the mindset is that if I'm friends with somebody, I always want to know, how can I provide value to you?
Yeah.
Because anytime I take time of yours, I'm taking not your time, I'm taking your daughter's time, your girl's time, your family's time. I'm stealing their time.
Yeah.
And if I don't give you something back in return to take back to them, then I just robbed you.
Yeah.
I robbed you.
Well, that's what's true. Like when I talk to you about like, hey, we want to change some things in our community to make it more successful. What I can offer you is, because I know Josiah was like, hey, how do you guys do your KPIs with your salespeople? It's like, I can bring in our senior vice president who's like really talented at it, and we can go through it and have these meetings.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're down in my office.
I couldn't go to your office and just like take.
Right.
I have to like give something. Or like when friends come to me, and they're like, hey, I'll just give you my course. I'm like, no. Like, I have to buy it. Like,
Myron Golden.
I have to buy the course.
Bro,
like, I'm not going to take your course for free. Like, I have to buy it. Because, like, if you ask for my course for free, I'd be like, no, you have to buy it. Like, because you don't have the value.
No, dude, you're so, same exact thing. Myron Golden reaches out to me, goes, hey, I want to learn what you know. Yeah. I want to join your thing.
Yeah.
How much is it? And I tell him, and he goes, great. And I go, but I'm not going to let you join mine without me joining yours. Yeah. His is 6 times more than mine.
Right.
And I happily wrote the check.
Yeah.
And now I've got a deep relationship with him, text him, and we have a relationship. And I'm like, there's an exchange there. And I fear being a person that doesn't have something to provide a value, right? Like Cody Sanchez, the way her and I became friends is I reached out to her 3 years ago. And I was like, hey, I want to help you launch this thing that you said you're going to launch. She's like, who the hell are you? I go, I'm the guy that's going to help you get your thing.
Yeah.
So now 3 years later, she's still asking me like, dude, how do I pay you back for all these things you've done for me? I'm like, well, your relationship and being able to text you when I need something, which is not that often, but there might be a day where I need something. Might need you to kill somebody for me. I don't know. But like, she's got a book coming out, which is probably why she's going to be on the podcast here. She's trying to get to New York Times bestseller, which she's got to sell 25,000 books. Yeah. My community is going to buy like 5,000 of those books from her. And so if I can get my community to get value, this is like the trifecta of value. I'll start a book club for 90 days to read this book with Cody Sanchez and my whole community. Cody Sanchez will come in and do 2 or 3 Zooms with my community. And then my community will buy $5,000 or 5,000 books of hers, which is like, I don't know what that is. It's something like $400,000 in books. Yeah. She gets value, I get value, my community gets value. There's this trifecta. And I have part of my mindset is where am I coming from? And how do I provide value from where I'm coming from so that we can have an exchange? Yeah. Other people are not like that. They're like, Hey, can I pick your brain? Kiss my ass.
I hate that term.
Yeah.
Don't ever ask me to pick my brain. If you DM me and say pick my brain, my DM team will never show it to
They'll
me.
block you, or they'll send you a YouTube video.
They'll send you a YouTube video. Yeah, because to me it's like the years it took me to develop those skill level, and you're asking to have that for free. You know.
Well, you sacrificed. Like that's the thing, is that you sacrificed so much to be in the situation you're in, and these people don't want to sacrifice at all and take your time.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, a couple more questions. What are your thoughts about, so for salespeople out here, you know, we're teaching them skills, they're learning, they're selling more. I know a lot of your people in our program.
Yeah.
I met some of them. That's really great. Love those guys. We talk a lot about, as a salesperson or even an entrepreneur or business owner, work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with your crazy schedule, because I see you fly over the world, what are your thoughts about work-life balance, and how do you manage it with the family, all these companies? How do you do that?
Couple of technical things, and one mindset thing. Technical answer is like my kids fly with me.
Okay. Yeah.
So like the last 11 days, I'm in Boston, Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Manhattan, and then 4 days in Palm Beach.
And how old are your kids again?
I've got 17, 6, 3,
Do you
10
guys
10 months.
do you like tutors, homeschooling, or what do you guys
Not
do?
yet.
Or you take them out when you fly?
We take them out.
Okay,
And I tell
got
I tell the school, kiss my ass.
I like that. Good.
My kid will never amount to something from school. Never.
Exactly.
Kiss my entire ass.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
We're gonna send the state out of you. Here's my cell
Yeah.
phone. Tell them to call me. So my son will pull them out, and then they'll come with me. Anytime I'm gone for more than 1 day, they're traveling with me.
I love that.
That's technical. The other technical thing, second technical thing, is I have 2 offices, one in Mesa with about 40 employees and one in Tempe. We have about 180 employees between our companies there.
New Reach. Yeah.
New Reach, and then the other 3
The other
companies.
ones, yeah.
And I go to those offices maybe once or twice a month.
Okay.
And when I'm there, I'll have 12 meetings back to back to back to back, and I have somebody else run the meeting, preemptively get everybody prepared for me to come in so that we know what we're going through, et cetera. And then the rest of the time I'm working from my house.
Yeah.
I'm taking all my calls from my house. I'm doing the all that kind of stuff. Why? Because my kids are home.
Yeah.
I can be on a Zoom, jump out, kiss the kids for 5 minutes,
Go see 'em.
go on a thing, go have lunch with them. So I'm integrating, and I'm not going
like
to
that.
the office. I'm eliminating also my travel time, right?
Okay.
That was hard, bro.
Yeah.
Having your kids around all day long and they're squawking in the background, and even though my house is really big, you can still hear them, and it's not that they're bothering me, it's that it's tempting me to go out and jump on the trampoline with them when I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So those are 2 technical things. A mindset thing for me was, why the hell y'all need to spend so much time with your effing kids?
Yeah.
I went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming 5 years ago, and I go to the post office, and I read this story about the guy that started the post office. He left England, took him 7 years to get money put together, built the post office, moved to Wyoming, got money going, sent money home. Most of his money was getting robbed through the mail.
Yeah.
So he finally had to save up enough money to go home to England, grab his wife and kids, and he hadn't seen his wife and his kids in 7 years.
That's crazy.
But that's normal shit back then. We're so effing spoiled.
Yeah.
We're so spoiled.
Right now.
You can FaceTime somebody, and it's like, I saw, who's the guy that's on Adam Sandler's movie? Rob
Schneider.
Yeah, his daughter comes out and beats his ass up about being a bad dad. I'm like, bitch,
Yeah.
are you
What
kidding
lifestyle
me?
you live in?
You're first class, you're in every fancy party, you're at the Met Gala, and you're telling your dad he's a piece of shit lowlife?
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
crazy?
That's crazy.
So I think it's a mindset thing. Like a lot of men don't realize that from 1950 to now, men spend 700% more time with their kids than they did in 1950.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So we're spoiled. So first and
That's so
foremost,
true.
realize you're spoiled.
Yeah.
And I look at my friends that are spending way too much time with their kids. I'm like, what are you doing with your kids? Watching TV? Like when I'm with my kids, which is an average of 4 hours a day, my goal in 2025 is to be at 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's intentional. We're not going to just hang out.
Yeah.
We're not just, hey, what are we doing? We know what we're doing a week in advance, so I can optimize that time to make sure we create a memory that's memorable rather than like just sitting around on the couch.
Just sit around doing nothing.
And so I see a lot of people having that problem is like, how do you balance it? I'm like, first off, realize you're spoiled.
Yeah.
and that you already spend more time with your kids than your dad ever spent with you because he wasn't able to.
Yeah.
You have the internet now. The ability to make money is so much more amplified.
Yeah.
And then go read some history.
Yeah.
Listen to these men that had to sacrifice 10, 15 years with their family and realize you're just a bitch complaining and that's
so
it.
True. Yeah, you go to, I was over in Australia 2 weeks ago. I'm on with Sophie every day, my 6-year-old, on FaceTime for 15, 20 minutes, and she loves it. It's fine. Coming back and spend a couple hours. The biggest thing with me is just like, when I go over to Max's house to hang out with Sophie, my 6-year-old, is like just putting my phone down for like 2.5 hours.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is really hard.
It's a big deal, though.
It's a big deal. But just like, hey, from 5:30 to 8, just like don't, try not to pick up the phone, which is really hard for
that
me.
really is a big deal. Like when you're just giving them that one-on-one time. So for me, like my daughters and I go on a date every morning. I work out, we do breakfast. I've already cleared out all my email inbox like before they wake up. And so right before my daughter goes to school, I'll take them to the gas station or I'll take them to like, donut shop or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll take them on a $5 little date.
Yeah.
And we'll get Starbucks for mom or we'll do whatever. And so the girls wake up and they go, Dad, let's go on our date. Let's go on our date every day.
So they're waiting for it.
They're waiting for it. I don't look at my phone. I'm not looking at anything else. And then at nighttime, same thing. We wrestle at nighttime. We play hide and seek almost every night for 2 hours, and I don't even know where my phone is.
I love that, man.
And so you're doing the right thing, guys. If you're with your kids a couple hours every day, and your phone is down, and it's that dedicated time.
Yeah.
Your kid is going to remember those 2 hours more than they're going to remember 8 hours of you not giving them that dedicated time.
And it's on the weekends, like my daughters are like, what are we going to do, on Saturday? What are we going to do? We're going to the arcade and we try to plan out activities to do something.
It's way more intentional. I would say that 2 hours or that 4 hours, that half day or that full day is more intentional than most men that are spending time around the house. Yeah. And you're also giving your kids a blueprint of my dad hangs around the house. Yeah. And so when your kids get older and they come to you and go, Dad, I'm not able to make the money I thought I was going to make. Yeah. Because it's like, what are you doing? Well, I'm hanging around the house with my kids all day.
Your kids are just going to.
Where do you think they got that blueprint? They got it from you. Exactly. Be intentional. What I love, like even you in a split household with Sophie. Yeah. Is probably a good way to force you to be even more intentional than the average man could be with
and it's just getting along with your ex. You've been through a divorce, or let's say you're not divorced, you have kids together.
There's a lot of sales guys that are going through divorces. Let's be honest.
It's just getting along with your ex and compromising. And Marta and I, my ex-wife, do. I feel like a good job. Could we do better? Yes, but we're always like, what do we have to do for our daughter to make sure as she gets older, she's completely good and happy.
But this is what's interesting to me is like you are intentional with your daughter. You have this great balance. Are you with your daughter every day?
Not every day, no. Because of keynotes and different things.
But here's the thing. Yeah. That there's men out there that spend 7 hours a day at their house and are asking, how do I get my work-life balance? Yeah. Bitch. I have a son that's only with us 5 days on, 5 days off. Yeah. So I know what it means when he's with us. I'm way more intentional than I was the other, with my other kids where I'm with them every day. So actually less time is probably more valuable because then you guys can be way more intentional.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so Pace, give everybody like one solid piece of advice about selling that you've learned that's really helped you sell well. Because that's what these salespeople want to know. Like, what's one thing that Pace would say you need to do if you want to sell more?
Find the bunnies, number one.
Yeah, I like that.
Find the bunnies is like my number one piece of advice. And I'll listen to other people's calls and I go, you're just going through a script. Yeah. I'm not a big script guy. Yeah. I know that people need scripts to like get up and going.
They need like a format to follow.
Yeah, frame.
They need to like understand how to, like, you ask a question on your script, let's say, and the prospect kind of answers it. You need to know how to tweak the next questions based off their answers, not just ask the same damn question.
Yeah, so like a frame, like what Jeremy teaches a lot more of like frameworks and structures and all that kind of stuff. I believe in that, but what I see is people go, I got to memorize the words. And so I ask the question, and usually I'm in a big audience of a couple thousand people like you are, and I'll go, hey, ladies, did you all enjoy it when your husband sat down on your first date with a script?
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, shit. And I'm like, nobody likes a script. Stop memorizing the stuff. The frame is very important. Yeah. And what I love about the frame and I love about what you're getting into with the frame and the script when you are using a script is you got to understand the why behind why are you asking these questions? The psychology.
Why are you even asking these questions in the first place?
Yeah. And I think I got really lucky. I don't have to learn. I think in sales, you have to learn how to sell by caring. And a lot of A-type alphas that are learning how to sell are like, I just want the freaking check.
I just want to make money.
I just want to make money. Yeah. I have probably the opposite problem where I make so much money from doing sales because I follow more of the strategy.
Sure.
There's so many salespeople that are out there training the wrong way.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're giving a framework that you're going to have to unframe and reframe for people. Sure. And really what it is getting to the core of what is their actual problem, because the other salespeople are not that they're talking to, which they're always talking to. In my business, my line of work, the average seller that's a distressed seller is talking to 15 people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the average. Yeah. Which means I have to stand out in those 15
It sounds
people.
like they probably all sound the same, most of those 15.
Oh yeah, they're all watching a YouTube video about
why do you want to sell the house? Oh, I want to sell this retirement.
How many windows do you have?
Let me give you, it's like surface level questions that there's no emotion. You're not finding out what's behind them wanting to retire. Like
what you'll see, like in my sales calls, I record all of them on video, is I will write down little, I call it my bullets.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to snipe back at them, right? I'm going to take the bullet you gave me the bullet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to snipe right back out, right? And I watch your stuff and it's very similar. Like you gave me a nugget.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind you of the pain you already just told me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm struggling with this. Okay, great. So you said you're struggling with such and such and blah, 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 blah. Well, what if you keep doing this? Is that going to solve the problem, right? Yeah. I'm using their words to remind them of their pain.
Yeah.
And and then what'll happen is I'll look at the camera and I'll put the phone on mute and I go, I don't know what their problem is yet. I'm 20 minutes in the call. And people in the live audience are like, you don't know their problem. She says she's not. I go, yeah, but there's something missing. So I just ask a couple more questions.
Level problem. Yeah.
Boom, you get to the thing.
Yeah.
And you go, voila, I'm now the person in charge of this conversation because I know what their actual problem is. And so I would watch talented salespeople and watch them hit the epiphany, the moment of epiphany, where you now realize I now know what the prospect needs.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm trying to now, they're now chasing me.
Yeah, they're qualifying to you because you're not the one that has a problem.
So basically everything that you teach. But all it is I tell people, I go, you'll have a hard time finding a better closer than me. All closers think we're the best closers.
Sure, yeah.
But you'll have a hard time finding somebody that is a better closer than me because you'll have a hard time finding somebody that cares more than I do.
Well, a lot of that is it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Your tone is how the prospect interprets your intention behind what you're saying and asking. So if they say something, usually the answers to your first questions are more like you're going to get served. The answers to your questions are really more the surface of what's really going on. And most salespeople try to sell to that surface. They sell to that need, and they don't understand that what they just said is like really just a little bit of the truth, and you've got to be able to know how to get them to emotionally open up and tell you everything.
Do you have any advice for people that have a hard time reading other people's emotions?
It's more about reading the tone.
Reading the tone.
So the third principle of NPQ is listen to what the prospect means, not just what they say. Those are two very different things, right? So if you ask a commitment question like, do you feel like this could be the answer for you to, get you out of the home and be able to move to XYZ, whatever they said or whatever. And if they're like, I think so. Well, I just heard uncertainty in their tone. Whereas another says, great, let me give you an offer and blah, 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 blah.
I'm going to send the contract over.
Exactly. And then they send it over and they disappear, the MIA. But what I heard is uncertainty. I'm like, hold on, you seem a bit uncertain when I ask you that question. What's going on? You can tell me what's going on. I got a little concerned tone here, a tone that shows some empathy. Prospect opens up, tells me what their concern is. Now I'm still there to resolve it or whatever. So it's really listening to what the prospect means, not just what they're saying.
That's so hard for a new person in my line of work. Yeah. Because when somebody says, yeah, I think so.
That is uncertainty.
But what do they do? They go, perfect. I'm going to send over the contract.
Oh, God, it's over.
And then they're in my DMs going, hey, this seller's ghosting me. They said they were interested in selling. I'm like, no, they didn't. Yeah, they said that.
They said that to get rid of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn it. They said that to get rid of me.
Yeah, it's like I said, the two biggest emotional drivers that causes a human being to want to change is pain and the fear of future pain. So if you can't help a prospect relive their pain of their current situation in their past and have a fear of then continued pain, they feel no need to change. When they feel no need to change, that's why you get, I want to think it over, talk with my spouse, and then never get back to you, and that's why they don't buy. There you go. Summed up in a couple sentences.
Practice makes perfect, guys.
That's right.
Turn your practice into something fun.
Where can they learn more about your community? Where can they go to learn more about what you guys do?
My YouTube channel is really good, guys. I would go on the YouTube channel and just type in Pace Morby seller calls.
Yeah.
And just watch me make calls to sellers and real estate agents and see how I talk to them. And for 7 years, I wondered, how do I get into the business?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I learned how to talk to sellers and do what you teach, it is now the opposite. It's like I have too many opportunities. The question I used to ask is, how do I get into the business? The question I now ask today is, how do I handle all the opportunity I have?
Yeah, because you got a lot of opportunities, I know.
And really, the main reason that is the case is because you learn how to talk to people and you learn how to be a good salesperson.
You learn how to communicate. All right, so hey, when he says follow him on YouTube, make sure you go follow him on YouTube. Type in Pace Morby. We'll have his full name there in the bio and everything. And listen, a lot of you have comments. You're going to make comments on this. You're going to have questions about, how do I sell when the prospect says that. The best way for me to answer your questions is for you to simply text me. So I'm going to give you my number. I'm going to have you text me right now. Here and there I do that. So it's 480-637-2944. So text me 480-637-2944. I don't even know my own phone number here. So 480-637-2944. And what I'll do is myself, and I'm going to have 3 sales trainers with me. We're going to stand by to answer questions about selling anything. Doesn't matter your product, your service, your industry. We're in all industries.
I should send you some of my seller calls. I'm gonna text you one of my seller calls and be like, Jeremy, critique me.
You want to do a call review?
Please
I love that.
Nick, are you doing his YouTube channel?
Yeah. We do 2 long forms per week.
You should have him, Nick. You should have him review one of my seller calls, the one I'm really proud of, and find 10 problems with it. Be like, Pace thinks he's a great closer, but here's what he could have done better. Oh my gosh, I would love that.
All right, so we're gonna do a joint venture. We'll do a joint venture on the YouTube call review.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, make sure you follow him on YouTube, and then when you have questions about selling anything, just text me. Pace, it was an honor for you to be on the show.
I look up to you. You're the best of the best. Thank you so much.
I'm looking up to you, man. I'm still investing with you, throwing you money.
Thank you.
About to throw you more money.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you soon.